Hey there, fancy friends, it's Oliver, and in this video we will have a look on how they trained Canne in the Charlemore era and how they actually fight. Actually, there are different kinds of French stick fighting in the 19th and early 20th century. Various masters toughed it differently, but there is mostly a red line they're following. The method famously toughed by Charles Charlemont is very common from the late 19th century on. Very characteristic are the hard blows which are chambered behind the head. We find it in various military regulations, and self-defense teachers like Émile André or Émile Metro used this way of striking also. Joseph Charlemont himself wrote a big book with lots of drills, and we still have old footage on film of his son Charles Charlemont with students, and we will have a look at 3 of them. Charlemont on the right is the master in this lesson. You will notice his movements are not at 100%, so you may have a look at the student on the left. You see the wide chambering of the horizontal strikes around the neck and behind the head. You also see the lead leg is brought back to the rear in each parry, as it should be to support the parry and reduce the problem of feints and strikes to the leg. This kind of striking develops lots of power and teaches the body to work with the strikes. And you might have seen our video on the similarities on coaching cues in the movement for Canne and boxe française, aka Savate. The fencer on the left is very clean in his movements, and we get a good impression of the way the techniques in Charlemont's book should be executed. We have also a pair of students drilling together, but it might be a premier écolier or another teacher of the salle. The first thing we noticed might be the speed. They are not as fast as our show-off student from the first video. It seems to me more it's a regular student of the salle. Not very good, but not bad at all. The good thing is we could see the movements more easily. You see again the wide range of motion of the arms, and if you see it both doing it, may look like a weird fight in slow motion with breaks for the chambering. And people obviously ask how is fighting possible with this kind of technique, and they are not the first one asking. Jean Renaud, another contemporary self-defense teacher who wrote the Défense dans la rue, said that this is not the way to go and create a whole different set according to English boxing movements. But he also has to admit that those blows are really powerful and in the right moment will be a good choice to knock an opponent down. Now to the sparring. These are again 2 students of the Charlemore style, and if we do not look at the more dynamic footwork, we see the chambering of the strikes are not as wide as before. One reason is a common reason for artifacts in combat sports. The gear. The mask did not allow a good chambering around and behind the neck. We noticed that ourselves in bouting. Looking at other styles of French Canne, we see chamberings like that in Larrivée style. But he also has 2 guards behind the head, but only uses them for his multiple direction drills. And then there is Émile André, who toughed the chambering behind the head, but also tells us in moments when time is rare, like in a riposte after a parry, to use a half chambering. Not behind the head, but like in the old method of Canne. And in general, he gave this advice also for the serious situations, beside the note that we can use this big chambering too if we have the time to take someone out of the fight. André, as a self-defense teacher, sees the point to teach it different than he would advise us to do, with a little twist, because the knowledge of how to employ these moves are tough in the wrist cuts anyway. And that's a good explanation we miss from Charlemore himself from his book.
Like, share and subscribe. But first, tell me, what do you think about it, what you have seen and what I've told you about it. And then, see you next video.